Hi, it's Andrew Clark, the Logistics Optimizer. This is the final clip from session 3 of the Fulfillment Forum, and we are talking about micro-fulfillment strategies. Now, micro-fulfillment is the idea that you want to get your storage of your product as close as possible to your customers so that you can fulfill their orders really, really quickly, like in an hour or two, if it was really urgent, or certainly, next day or same day. So who is this for? Well, I think it's for very specific use cases. And that is, so supermarkets are starting to do this because it makes sense. People are like, I've just run out of milk. I want to get some milk. I need it, this afternoon, if possible, or in 10 minutes, if possible. In some parts of the world, they're doing micro-fulfillment and getting 10-minute deliveries. Now, if you've got really high population density, maybe that makes sense. I'm not sure that those really short timeframes make any sense at all in Australia, but who knows? Sometimes things that appear to me to be dumb business models actually work. We'll find out. But supermarkets are doing it. Woolworths has opened a micro-fulfillment centre, and Coles will follow suit, and soon you'll be able to, put an order in the morning and get a delivery in the afternoon from a store, and increasingly less and less people will turn up into the store to go and get their products. So fantastic. Who else is it for? Fast, high fashion items, because there's a cost to doing that. So if you're following a micro fulfillment strategy, you are going to increase the cost, right? Because it's more expensive to actually provide that level of service out to your customer. So if you've got a high fashion product where someone wants a new dress or some new shoes or a new suit or something, and they need it today because they forgot to get anything for the party that's going on tonight, great. That's who it's for. But most e-commerce businesses, in fact, most businesses in general, do not need this, right? Shipping, in fact, I would say generally, most purchases are not time critical. And what people want is they want reliable shipment, so on a time frame that they understand, at the lowest possible price. And so that model is completely at odds with the micro-fulfillment strategy. That's like one centralized warehouse, ship it slow freight, it'll get to you in 5 days via Australia Post at their cheapest possible rate. And so long as you know that and are happy with that, perfect, right? But if I need it this afternoon, well, that I'm either going to miss out or I'm going to pay a premium for getting that kind of service. So that's micro-fulfillment. We talk about it now. I've left Elton's comments in because I thought they were valuable, and here you go.
To your point, a great segue into today's final topic, micro-fulfillment strategies. So, Andrew, you led in nicely with your final comment there. Let's sort of take this one a little bit further.
So micro-fulfillment, let's just define what that is up front. So essentially what you're doing with micro-fulfillment is you're localizing your inventory for a local market so you can service that market faster and more effectively. So this is particularly Amazon have done this in the US with their sort of local little Amazon distribution points within cities. We're just starting to see that now in the supermarket chains in Australia. I know Woolworths opened up their first micro-fulfillment centre in Melbourne, Carrum Downs, I think it was. I saw a video on that recently from Woolies. So and I'm sure Coles is right behind them. So you simply just convert a store or part of a store into a fulfillment centre, put in some automated storage retrieval systems and conveyors and things, build a back-of-house automated DC with as much technology as you can to minimise the number of staff required and to actually allow you to pick and ship a lot of volume of product. And so in the supermarket, that makes sense. When more and more people are ordering online, it's not exciting for most people to go to the supermarket to go and buy things, so they're just going, let me just get it delivered. So that sort of makes sense. So you're seeing that micro-fulfillment strategy sort of roll out. It's not for everyone, right? And to my previous point, if you have a retail network and your retail stores are out in the suburbs, they're your micro-fulfillment centers. So micro-fulfillment is just
ship from store, right, which has been around for years. There's nothing kind of new in that, but it's all manual. So it's ship from store, done in a high volume context with automation by the big players, right? But you don't need to be Woolworths to do micro fulfillment. You can, if you've got, a retail store in every capital city, you're probably already doing micro fulfillment, right? Ship from store, because that's where the inventory is. So that's micro fulfillment.
Yeah, so you don't need to be big to act small, I guess, right? So Elton, you want to add anything around this one?
Well, I have seen some pretty cool technology in use for this, and for example, robotics that's used in retail stores during and after hours to pick from a retail store, and some of the dark store technology. And because micro fulfillment is about shrinking the distance from inventory to a customer, it really allows us to adapt quickly when we do have disruptions. So we still have the problem of that last mile delivery is 30 to 50% of our fulfillment cost. And because we're now in an age where we have more and more disruptions in the past 5 years than we did before that, for many reasons, it means we can pivot. And if we have a supply issue or a transportation issue or a store closure issue, we've probably got inventory not too far away. And that's where inventory comes into it, because if we can look at customer orders or forecasts, we can run scenarios around, well, where should I fulfill from to get the highest service or the lowest cost or the lowest carbon emissions or whatever competing objectives I have. So technology is really well designed for micro fulfillment once we have the data, and because we're closer to customer and we're looking at data on an order level and not just an inventory and warehouse level, there is a huge amount of data in making these optimal decisions, but some are doing it and doing it well.